On the morning of Labor Day 2021, the body of a 22-year-old female college student was found in the lavatory of a recreational park. Paramedics confirmed that the victim died of blood loss induced by penetrating trauma to the abdomen. Several different shoeprint impressions were found around the scene. Evidence 1, 2, and 3 are pattern impressions discovered in the lavatory where the body was found, imprinted by an unknown hitherto viscous red liquid substance. Forensic officers used leucocrystal violet and luminol reagents to enhance the visibility of the shoeprints before documenting them by oblique photography. The imprinted red liquid substance was also collected as question sample. Evidence 4, 5, 6, and 7 were plastic impressions discovered outside the lavatory with varying indent depths, spotted individually on mud, clay loam soil, sand, and soil respectively. These impressions were first obliquely photographed and then were casted using casting powder. Soil samples from each impression and their control samples were also collected. The final piece of evidence, labeled Evidence 8, is a latent impression discovered on a plywood surface in a nearby storeroom. Since it was in the form of dust, this impression was first obliquely photographed as well, before physically collecting it using the electrostatic dust print lifter, then a gel lifter. The 8-piece evidence, along with the question and control samples, were brought back to the laboratory for examination and analysis. The laboratory works were professionally handled by a group of forensic chemists.
Alright, after a series of examination conducted on the pattern impression, our investigation team has concluded that evidence details are as of the following. So evidence 1 is a hiking shoes, either size 6.5 or 7, walking away from the crime scene, while evidence 2 is a UK 7 men's dress shoe where his trail directs towards the same direction as evidence 1. Investigation shown that the wearer was walking at a higher pace. So evidence 3 shows us a woman's hiking shoe with the size UK 6.5 with a minimal wear at its mid-foot region of its sole. Judging from the detailed shoe prints on a smear tile surface, it is concluded that the wearer was also walking away from the crime scene. The question samples were all tested positive for blood from the Ester Maria test. It was also revealed that evidence 1 and 2 has a strong correlation as the shoe prints were heading towards the same direction and the blood samples were a match.
Upon investigation, it was concluded that the scattered footprints around the crime scene area were from passers-by. Evidence 4 shows a male runner wearing UK 9 size sports shoe, indicating that he was passing by the crime scene area while he was out for a run. Evidence 5 belonged to a male wearing UK 7 size sneakers, with visible signs of wear and damage on his sole. It was assumed that he was carrying a load while he was walking based on the depth of the shoe print. In evidence 6, it is likely that the wearer is a male with shoe size UK 8 or 9 strolling past the crime scene. Sediment analysis shown that the shoe print has no correlation as there was no blood found in the shoe print.
Evidence 7 indicate that the wearer was a female wearing size UK 5 sneakers and was likely running. There was no foreign substances detected during sediment analysis, so evidence 7 has no correlation to the crime. Evidence 8 was unique because it was a latent impression. It was found on a plywood surface in the form of dust. The shoe print, which was a size UK 7.5, seemed to be running away from the crime scene.
To determine the type of shoes depicted by the impressions, homicide detectives Danish, Razak, and Ester Maria turned to Sicar, a shoeprint database of all kinds of shoe impressions.
Thanks to the database, we were able to point out the brands of his shoes, the gender, and the size of the wearer, and the types of shoes. And here we have a sneaker, a hiking shoe, and even an office shoe. Who wears office shoes to the park?
Several shoe manufacturers were also consulted to acquire more information about the shoe impressions that could not be compared on Sicar. Detectives confiscated shoes possessed by a fellow student who was last seen with the victim before she died, and found an office shoe that matches evidence 2. The shoe was brought to the lab, subjected to transparent overlay, and the results was a match.
We brought the suspect in for interrogation, confronted him with the evidence. It didn't take long for him to admit it.
The suspect also named 2 others who were involved in the murder. Detectives waste no time in finding these individuals and acquire the shoes for forensic analysis. It was found that the shoes were exactly the ones they wore at the crime scene.